Welcome, everybody, to our board meeting. And we're going to jump right to Billy.
All right. Well, we have. Well, I feel like we just keep having firsts, and it blows my mind because it's not like we're a young organization. We're not a spring chicken, but it feels like it lately because we're celebrating another first for Scott County High School and Scott County Schools. The first ever KHSAA state tennis champion, Sydney Zakic. Congratulations. Now, I must say a little bit about her before we have her come up. Sydney has been a standout member of the Scott County varsity tennis team since 8th grade, qualifying for the KHSAA state tournament every year and earning multiple all-region and all-state honors. As a team captain and multi-year MVP, she led by example both on and off the court. Her senior season was especially memorable as she went undefeated, won the Region 11 singles title, and captured the KHSAA state championship in singles. Throughout her career, Sydney progressed each year with consistent success. She was a state quarterfinalist in doubles as an 8th grader, a regional semifinalist in singles as a freshman, sophomore, and junior, and finished her senior with regional and state titles. She also competes in USTA tournaments and other competitive events throughout the year. Looking ahead, Sydney will continue her tennis career at Northern Kentucky University while pursuing her undergraduate and law degrees through NKU's accelerated 3+3 program. Sydney is coached by Julie Penn, who's here with us this evening as well, and we'd be remiss to not express our appreciation to Coach Penn as well for her ongoing support, leadership, and encouragement of Sydney on her journey to the state championship. So let's start with Sydney. Why don't you come on up? Let me present you with the challenge point. Let's get Coach up here too. Let's get Coach up here.
I can't do it without you.
Yeah, let's get yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you for joining us this evening. Number 5, public comment. Mr. Dwayne Ellison. Whatever. Let's go. You wrote on here you're required to come and sit and talk. We don't take fakes. Please come on up, Mr. Ellison. Do you want him up here? Do you want him?
No.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you for that.
I'll work it in.
That's fine.
Number 6, consent agenda items 6A through 6H.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 7, student achievement report.
Right, so before we move into the iReady data, I just wanted to go over quickly the 25-26 professional development plan. And the reason I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time because we survey all of our teachers every year, and we've gotten really good feedback as well as really great suggestions on how we can maybe shift to the system we already have. So not a whole lot has changed. But as always, 24 hours are required by the Kentucky Department of Education. And so for this year, that will look like 1 day for PD Palooza, which I know you're familiar with. In addition, 1 day for the district for the Leader in Me Core 2 training. And then, so that takes up all of the 12 hours that the district requires. That leaves 12 hours for school discretion. So that's their opening day things, Some of them give PD credit for after-school PLC meetings, things of that nature. And then, as you all are familiar, our cohort system, which is built in for our collab days. And so our teachers come together in a cohort that they choose with their principal to get individualized professional development. So like our librarians come together, our PE teachers, art teachers, English teachers, etc. And so that is lined out. And then, as always, just for your informational purposes, we have other great programs that we provide around teacher leader development, our Aspiring Leaders program, the work we do with our school administration to help them go through the work, our AP cadre, and then again, how we monitor. So I just wanted to put that in front of you, look over it, and let me know if you have any questions, but not a whole lot has shifted. So now the star of the show, Wendy and iReady Data.
That's a lot of pressure right there. All right. So good evening. Tonight we are going to be discussing iReady Diagnostic Data End of Year Review. The very first slide is just a reminder that this is valid data. This is the percentage of students that completed each test, reading and math, and then also minimal amount of rush flags, which is an achievement in itself if you can get students not to rush through the diagnostic. So it just shows we have a valid data set. The first set of data we're going to be looking at is in quadrant charts. And so just a review for these charts, the top portion of that, if you are above the blue dotted line, that is high growth. If you have a score that is plotted below that line, that is low growth. Now, the blue dotted line is if a grade level or a school met 100% toward their typical growth score. So we want to be at the line or above. If we are to the right, that is high performance. And then if we are to the left, that is low performance. So that'll make more sense as we look at the data, but that just kind of breaks down that chart. The first set of data we're looking at would be for math, and this is for grade levels. So here we can see that all of our grade levels, excluding 2, are at the goal line there of meeting their typical growth. So they are in the high growth quadrant, excluding 3rd and 4th grade. However, I had to break it down and see, okay, well, what was 3rd and 4th grade? And it was at 96%. So again, very close to meeting at that line. When we look at math for school data, we can see that all of our schools are either at the line or above, and they fall into the high growth quadrant.
And I also want to point out, if they are in the top and to my right, that's not just high growth, that's also high performance. So I think that's another thing to really note as you look.
Absolutely. So when we break this down a little bit more, there's a couple of celebrations that we want to highlight. One of those being Georgetown Middle School. So they have 123% toward their typical growth goal, which is amazing. And then Garth Elementary had 122% toward their typical growth goal.
Can you go back really quick?
Mm-hmm.
And also I want to point out, so this is mathematics. And as you know, this was year 1 of implementation of the new HQIR in mathematics, as well as the pilot year for the middle schools. So we had 2 schools that piloted. Georgetown Middle School being one of them. This was in year 2 of them using the HQIR. So I think it really is telling. I can't wait, because you know how trying something new out is. You're trying to figure it out and navigate. So I can't wait until we get to year 2 and year 3 of implementing math HQIR.
Which I think you're going to see in reading.
Excuse me, just real quick.
Yep.
Eleanor, could you try to switch off this bank of lights? I've
Here,
got
I
a
got you.
complete
I got you.
glare. Thank you, thank you. I can't see.
We want you to be able to
Thank
see.
you,
Yes.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, it was a complete glare from these 2 lights, so
Yeah.
thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yes.
Is this okay, everybody?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you.
Is there a reason why? Oh, no, okay. So the ones on the right is high performing, high growth. The one on the left is low performing but high growth.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's what.
And also, to be high performing,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be at 50. So you
Okay.
can see Ann Mason was at 49. They were
Yeah.
almost over there in that
Right.
high performance, high
Yeah.
growth.
Yeah.
And all of them are at least at a minimum in the 40,
Yeah.
40% performance. So definitely seeing that trend towards that high performance, high growth.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So to speak to Stephanie's point about being in year 2 of implementation, here we can see year 2 of magnetic reading.
Yeah.
And also Common Lit 360, which all of our middle schools have. So we are looking at reading now, and this is grade levels. And so you can see that we are almost all in the high performing, high growth area. Kindergarten is right in the middle. And so kindergarten is still considered high growth, high performance because it's right at that 50th percentile, 100% met toward typical growth. First grade, again, I wanted to see what their percentage of typical growth was, and that was 97%. So they're right on that line. When we look at the school data,
I'm sorry, back. So,
Mhm.
looking on the charts, one thing. So, if we're looking at like first grade. So, what you're saying is that per the test, 97 for our first.
it's a median score for this. So if we took all first graders who took the test and lined them up, the middle score, the middle student would have been at 97%.
Yeah, that's what I was questioning.
Yes.
Because I was say we've all y'all rolled.
No.
Yes.
100%.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
So that means from the middle student and up, they all
Did better.
yes. Mhm. So when we look at our schools, all of our schools are well into the high growth area, most of them falling into that high performance quadrant as well. Again, we want to highlight Georgetown Middle School here because their median score here is 166% toward typical growth.
and Southern Elementary, you know that they've gotten a lot of attention from us, and super excited with it.
Yes.
And Mason, I mean, yeah, just excited.
And then over in the high performance area, Scott County Middle School, when you're already performing at a high level, sometimes it's even harder to meet that typical growth, and they are still meeting that median score 167% toward typical growth. So typical growth and stretch growth are two different things. Typical growth is what we want a student to achieve that shows they have made a year's worth of growth. Stretch growth is when they meet a certain goal that is above that iReady says, okay, if you are 2 or more grade levels below, if you meet your stretch growth in 2 years, you can be up to grade level. So that is an ambitious goal. We want, or iReady says, that 70% of most grade levels should be achieving that typical growth goal. For stretch growth, that falls around 30%, 30 to 35. So we're back to math here. Again, this is year 1 of iReady Classroom Math, and we can see that we have pockets that are getting close to that 70% toward typical growth, and then pockets who are already at the 30% for stretch growth, specifically that K1-2 area. And then for reading, we can see that 2nd through 5th grade, they're already or almost at that 70% goal. So we have set some more ambitious goals for those set of students. And they are already meeting that stretch growth for 2nd through 5th. But also 6th, 7th, and 8th are all right at that line for stretch. So we're going to switch gears a little bit and look at relative placement levels. You guys are familiar with this, but we only talk about it a couple of times a year. So the dark green is mid or above grade level. The light green is early on grade level. Yellow would be 1 grade level below. Light red would be 2 grade levels below. And then the dark red would be 3 or more grade levels below. We're going to look at math first. So from the fall to the spring, we were able to increase our green placement from 20% to 54%. We were able to decrease the red relative placement from 28% down to 13%. From spring to spring, we're looking very similar. So last spring to this spring.
I will say that in cautioning you from looking from last year to this year, the norms for iReady changed. So it's not an exact, comparison. So just be aware of that as do that because those did.
When we compare ourselves to the nation and the state, we are outscoring in the green relative placement. So in the nation, they had 47% of students score in the green. At the state level, 48%, and then Scott County was at 53%. The national level for red placement was 20, at the state 18, and then we are down to 13%. So overall, we are scoring better than the nation and the state. Looking at the same data in reading, from fall to spring, we were able to move our green placement from 34% to 61%, and then decrease the red relative placement from 28% to 15%. We like that graph with all the green. And then again, spring to spring, it looks very similar. However, we were able to move the green placement from 59% to 61%. And comparing nation, state, and district, at the national level, they had 51% of students scoring in the green placement. At the state level, 55, and then we were able to score 61. We were able to be lower in the red relative placement, so from 23 at the national level, 19 at the state level, and then down to 16 for Scott County Schools. So how do we support students? Stephanie talked to you a little bit about our plan for professional learning. This is just a couple of other little things to keep in mind. For teachers, yes. Sorry, did I say students?
Yeah.
So we are going to be continuing with iReady Classroom Math. We're going to be in year 2 for that next year, and we know our teachers are going to need that extra support. So all elementary schools are going to receive 3 dedicated PLC days with an iReady professional learning representative there that can answer their specific questions, that can go over data with them, and really kind of tailor their professional learning to their needs for that program. We are going in full implementation of illustrative math at the middle school level and Algebra 1. And so the teachers that are going to be a part of that will also have support through our cohort system. We also have Kentucky Numeracy Counts academies, which this is an opportunity through the state of Kentucky. There is an admin academy and there is a teacher academy. And so luckily we have 28 teachers that applied and were accepted to be a part of the Numeracy Counts Academy that KCM is going to be putting on, which is great professional learning. And we have 2 admin and myself that will be participating in the PIMSR Admin Academy. So we're very excited about that continued professional learning. And then we will continue with Common Lit 360 for middle school. And then just continuing best practice professional learning for math and reading through PD Palooza, like small group instruction, continued iReady support, other best practice strategies like thinking maps that CKUC is doing training on, and then cohorts. Okay.
Any questions? We're very excited for the iReady data.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
Yeah. Thank you all.
thank you all.
you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, number 8, approve emergency certification for 8A through 8F as submitted.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 9, approve to create the following positions, 9A and 9B as submitted.
Move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 10, first reading for the 2025-2026 KSBA Board Policy Updates.
And while this one requires no action, I did want to make sure that I expressed to you all the turnaround time on these. It's always tight, and I think Josh could agree with that. That I think it was the Friday right around graduations, or I think was the day that we got these sent to us by KSBA. And here we are, not even 2 weeks later. I can go on and tell you, I've poured over it. Josh has seen some, I've seen some where there's some just small clerical kind of situations to address. But there's also some other things too. So I just wanted you all to know that as far as the way the first readings are, I would expect some changes to these. I know Miss Nelson had shared that she had some questions about some. So if you've got questions about any of them, or you want to talk about any of them, please feel free to reach out. It's 180 some pages. I want to say 189, but I don't. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. But again, what we've also found too is that when I started being a part of the process, one, it wasn't nearly as many pages, and it wasn't nearly as. It seemed like everything was more black and white. Like you get it, and it was pretty clear that this is what it was going to be, and you just had to, okay, how is this going to impact us? These are the things we need to make sure we're doing. Now it's for instance, Senate Bill 181, the traceable communication piece, is incredibly complex. It's a very, very difficult piece of legislation. There are questions we still have about it, even seeing the policies, that we still don't have answers to. So, and depending on who you talk to, you'll get a different answer. So we've got a meeting set up. Me and Maria have a meeting set up with Josh next week to talk through the questions we have to try and get to see. There might be some things I would imagine where he can just very easily, this is this is that, this is this. There may be some where he needs to take some time to look at it and give us his thoughts after he's reviewed it, because it's a incredibly complicated piece of legislation. An example that came to the forefront for me today is we have an employee for us who has a private business. His private business employs some people that are students. Well, he can't communicate with them through the illegal methods, but he also can't use the methods that we have for school purposes, because it's not school purposes, it's his own private purposes, and there's issues with that. So there's things like that just, and again, I'm not at all trying to put any blame on anyone on this, because I think it's, as people have gotten into it, I think there's some little tweaks that can make some big movement on making that better. But that's the kind of stuff we're dealing with this one.
I think it's a lot of unintended speed bumps, if you will.
Yeah.
But we can work through it, and the reality is, your policies aren't due to the state, even though you want to take care of them as soon as possible till August. So we've got time if there's some serious bumps to work them out, and hopefully not. But
with Senate Bill 181, we will have to have action beyond the policy, where we will approve some platforms that we'll consider a part of our system. And so, unfortunately, because of the timing of all of this, it takes effect June 27th. And you'd think, okay, well, we've got time. Well, we do for school, but we don't for athletics. So Maria's pulled together a team. She's done a phenomenal job with all of that. But then from that, we've had some other meetings, and we are at a point where we're going to make some recommendations in the next few days towards our staff as simple ways to get through the coming time period before we're able to get those approvals done. We may have a reason for a special called meeting, so it might be in a week or so we'll come together and we'll have had enough time with Josh to talk through that piece in particular to where we can come with a little bit more information on that. But it just every year it seems like these become just more complicated. So
We'll work through it. We'll get
Yep.
through it, gang.
But these suggestions were given to us. We did not have to change them.
well, so what they do is they essentially take the law and they say, how can we apply this to your existing policy, or do you need a policy
Yeah,
that would address
this-
it?
So when I
is-
read the red words to get whatever color words, it was given to us. We didn't have to.
Correct. So
Okay, that's what I was-
KSBA does this for you all in virtually every other school district every year. They take the new laws that went into effect both at state and federal level. They look at your existing policies. This is their policy service for you. And then when you see the red lines come in, that's their recommended updates to the policies. But every time, it's not that they're in there trying to meddle. They're saying, to bring your policies up to speed with the law, these are changes we're asking you to adopt.
Let me give you an example too. So there's one where it pulls in our graduation requirements, and there's some tweaks and changes there.
Sure.
But there's something like within it, we didn't catch it, and it still refers to Phoenix as Cardinal Academy, I think, or Phoenix Academy, or basically it doesn't refer to it as the accurate name that we use today. They didn't catch that, but that's something we would also want
Yeah,
to
well,
change
on
while we're
occasion-
in there.
Right.
Your
You know.
your alternative placement policy is a good example, though, of every now and then you do something that's just individual to you, and staff prepares some recommendations, and those get put in with the same mix because tis the season, right? So, but by and large, this is from KSBA as legal recommended updates.
So anyway, just so you were aware, there's not any changes beyond what was provided to us, but expect that there will be for the next time. And I maybe one where I'll walk through,
In a special
page
call.
by page, to where you all can.
So we
Makes
don't
sense,
have
see
to
that.
adopt their wording necessarily. We can tweak it or.
Yeah, but bear in mind when they give suggested wording, 9 times out of 10, actually higher than 9 times out of 10, they're giving you wording directly from the new statute, the new regulation. So it's not like there's a lot of wiggle room, if any, on most of these things they're sending you. What they're sending you is something to match this new statute or the new regulation that came across. Usually the places where you have wiggle room are if it's something that if it's a staff rather than a KSBA recommendation, because staff is saying this policy would work better for us if we did X, Y, Z. Again, your alternative placement policy is a great example, right? We need some flexibility on some age parameters for alternative placement. We know in Scott County this works better for us. So they, in the mix this year is some updates relative to that. That's a good example. But from KSBA, they're not getting into things typically that are judgment calls. They're sending you things that are legally necessary.
Yeah.
So,
Everybody's good? Any questions?
sorry, lot to say on that one.
Well, there's a lot to take in on this
Yeah.
particular
I'm
subject.
angry.
Okay, number 11, approval of the Certified Evaluation Plan, CEP, and the forms and performance standards for the 2025-2026 school year.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
And this is an example where, thank you, Frank, for the work on this, bringing the CP together. This ties specifically to some of the policies that we'll see, that we will officially change in the next few months.
Number 12, approve service agreement with Spectrum and Scott County Board of Education for phone services.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 13, approved data use agreement between MPT Impact Solutions LLC and the Scott County Board of Education.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 14, approved transportation agreement between Scott County Board of Education and Bright Horizons Children's Center LLC.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
I just have one question about that. Mr. Superintendent, when did they change the name to Bright Horizons? Excuse me.
Well, so actually, I have some very in-depth knowledge on this. I actually used to work at the Toyota Child Development Center 20-some years ago, and to my knowledge, it's always been Bright Horizons is kind of the corporate name over it, kind of like I think Life Point may be the name for the like Georgetown Hospital, kind of that kind of thing. It's always been that, but it's officially locally known
As
as
the
Toyota
preschool
Child Development Center. Yeah.
Yes, from
Yeah.
Toyota.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but
Yeah.
I just.
That's okay.
No, great question.
Number 15, approve rental agreement between Kentucky Horse Park and Scott County Board of Education to rent the North Exhibit Hall for the Great Crossing High School from 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 16, review and approve student fees and charges as of June 13th, 2025.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 17, approve renewal and rates for school insurance and workers' compensation for fiscal year 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 18, approve renewal of purchased meals to Jersey Mike's for fiscal year 2026.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 19, approve renewal of clothing bid to Surge Promotions Incorporated and Continental Sewing Service for fiscal year 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 20, approve renewal of fire extinguisher service bid to Landmark Sprinklers Incorporated for fiscal year 2026.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 21, approve renewal of award and trophy bid to Johnston's and Crown Trophy for fiscal year 2026.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 22, approve renewal of printing bid to the UPS store for fiscal year 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 23, approve renewal of towing service bid to A to Z Towing for fiscal year 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 24, approve renewal of transportation parts bid to Bluegrass International Boyd Company, George J. Hurst, and American Bus and Accessories for fiscal year 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 25, approve renewal of flooring supply bid to Oser Paint and Flooring for fiscal year 2026.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 26, approve Section 6 carryover request for fiscal year 2026.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 27, approve 2025 capital funds third request.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 28, approve donation report for January 1st, 2025 through June 12th of 2025.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 29, approve surplus items as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Gina, number 30, financial statements.
We kind of had a quick turnaround this time, but we got it done.
We did.
It was a quickie. You have before you the summary of cash activity for May 2025. Our beginning balances were $47.4 million. We had receipts of $40.5 million. That does include the bond sale for Oxford Elementary. You can see that listed under the construction fund of $32.6 million. We had expenses of $10.5 million, leaving our ending cash balance at $77.4 million. of that, we still have 7.1 million invested with a separate bank for the Scott County High School project, leaving our ending cash balance in our depository of 70.3 million. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Tina.
Number 31, approve current bills.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 32, superintendent presentation of capstone.
Flip the lights. Thank you.
All right, let's make sure I'm driving. I am driving. All right, awesome. So, the thorn, I'm just going to jump into it because that's how I roll. The thorn in my side of ROTC is still on there. It was on there as last year's next steps. I griped about how I struggled with it then, and I've still struggled with it. Fortunately, we are leveraging the Colonel, Mr. Brent, or Dr. Brent Allen, excuse me, or whatever you want to call him. He's a man of many titles. We're leveraging his leadership here, and we have a plan at least. We're not to the finish line where I can say we can check that box, but we have a plan for this to where we'll have this ready to go by October at least one of our high schools. So I'm really excited about that one. But otherwise, really, when you think about the other things that we had as next steps, you know, and this goes to conversations I've had with a lot of people, conversations I had with Mike Davis recently, and some of my team, and just I'll have people from other districts come up to me and they're like, man, you all are just killing it. And everybody sees Scott County as a great place to be. You know, Renee was with me at graduation, and we had a student recite basically the vision of best place in the world to live and learn for everyone. Like, and she was just like, oh my gosh. I was like, well, I say it enough, I'm sure, you know, everybody can pick up on that. But the reality is, I don't think you could point to one particular thing and say that's it. That's the ticket. It's just a combination of us continuing to try and go in the right direction every single day, and make sure one it's making sure we address the things that you know, find ways that we need to improve. On the other hand, too, it's trying to find ways that we're making sure that we address the issues that need to be addressed, and we demonstrate leadership where we need it, and when there needs to be hard conversations, we have them, because that's a whole nother part of it too. You know, if I've always used the analogy of lowest hole in the bucket. If you don't address the lowest hole in the bucket, the water's still flowing out of that hole. But if you start addressing the lowest hole in the bucket, before you know it, your lowest hole is halfway up the bucket, and you got quite a load of water in there. So, I think that this has been just a variety of things that we have done. And again, these are all things, the evidence items are all things that we've talked about through the course of the year. You know, on this first with strategic leadership, you know, the 4T Academy, there's some talk on there about 4T Academy. That's been an amazing partnership. I think that's one that everyone that's been a part of that one has been impressed and pleased with. On a later slide, you'll see where, you know, again, I've talked about Warren County. Their Chamber of Commerce and their school district met with us because they wanted to emulate that with a different business partner. The refinement and development of the Georgetown Leadership Academy, we got some people in the room here that you all have helped us in that, and appreciate that. And then I always, you know, I continue to really appreciate the LAVEC funding that we have. I had a parent reach out to me last night late, just out of nowhere, and they said, hey, just wanted you to know my son, he works for a company, a pharmaceutical sales type company, and they were at, I think it was Central Baptist. It was a hospital in Lexington. And they were getting ready to go into and do a surgery, and there were 9 individuals that were going to be a part of that surgery. Because his son is a Scott County School student, he knew. He said, Dad, 9 of the 9 students, 5 of those students went to ECS at the Biomed pathway. And just, right, I mean, it blew me away, because I was like, that's the kind of information, you know, that's the anecdotal kind of information that you don't it's hard to get your hands on, and it's hard to grasp. But that I thought is the kind of stuff that just speaks to the importance of that LAVEC funding, because I know, from talking to the kids and seeing what we're doing, that kind of stuff, that high level stuff costs money, and the things we've been able to do over the years with that is super important. So I continue to make sure that, one, we leverage what we've got in place with our legislators so they understand the importance. But two, to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible with those funds that we get. Next, instructional. Oh wait, I got pictures too. There you go. So there was a 14, and some of these things, it blows my mind because, like, and thank you to Renee for helping pull these pictures together and put this all neat and pretty. And I'm like, gosh, that was this year. These things, it feels like that was 4 years ago. So instructional leadership. This is one where I'm going to go on and go straight to the pictures on here because they're fun. The Garth Gateway projects that was one that happened relatively recently, and then the Lemons Mill Amazing Shake. Again, I've shared with you all before too that second time around visiting schools this spring, it was centered around what are you doing with Profile of a Learner and Leader in Me. What was neat about Lemons Mill is they had other schools visit to see how it went. This was year 2 for them. It was better than year 1. I mean, year 1 was great, but it was better than year 1. We've got some people in the room that have knowledge with how that went as well. But that was great. I talked to a teacher yesterday at EduCon who was from Creekside that said, hey, we were really impressed with what we saw. We're looking forward to pulling that off next year. That's been an amazing program that we've seen in our schools, and we've seen it's been something that everybody has gotten behind. PD Palooza, we always make that fun. But the good thing about PD Palooza is, I meet with Mike Davis and we discuss opportunities for growth across the district every month, and oftentimes we'll have situations that come up where it's people wanting choice in PD and different things, but because he's so connected to seeing what we're doing and we talk about it so often, oftentimes the questions and comments take care of themselves because, he's like, oh, I can answer that one because I know what we do and I know we have opportunities and choice and cohorts that we get to work with. So kudos to Stephanie and her team too for all the work that they put into making sure that we've got just a really strong professional development, professional learning plan. Read Across America Day at Ann Mason as well. Cultural leadership, Billy Hicks gym dedication was one of many things on that list. Again, I mentioned the 4T discussions with Warren County. Garth at the Georgetown Police Department and Garth came together and with 4T Academy and did a bike build giveaway in conjunction with Christmas time. It was awesome. Again, that's just kind of an overlap and connection between some other categories there. And then for me, it wasn't anything super spectacular or fancy, and in some ways it was easier than what we had done in years past. But the retirement celebration that we did this year, again, I think I talked about it recently, just felt really good. I think we've hit the mark on it, and I think that's something too that I continue to feel better about what we're doing, because when we don't hit the mark on stuff, everybody on our team understands and sees that they have that freedom, one, to try new things, two, when it doesn't hit the mark, to make those adjustments, and everybody's working together and synergizing to really focus in and make things better. This year's retirement celebration, I think, really it was perfect, I think. So we'll continue down that path next year with a couple of small tweaks with it. There's Billy Hicks gym dedication, and then all newsmakers. That's one of my favorites. Bill Bryant makes it great. Always throws you some curveballs you're not expecting, but good time, and gives us an opportunity to really present about what all we have going on in Scott County. Human resource leadership. Again, this was one where I talked to Mr. Pickerel recently, and he's planning on being a part of one of our student achievement reports in the upcoming year because of the pilot program that you all provided with the after-school tutoring at Georgetown Middle School. and helping to share, like, hey, here's the numbers. This is what we saw, to where you all can see that return on investment that we got there. That was one of those instances, again, of one small thing that kind of adds up with everything else to make a difference with what we're doing. And then the staffing discussion with technology director tied to the school technology coordinators. And as you'll recall, we took that from being a school allocation and put it more towards a district allocation so we could better utilize skills across the district. And I think that's been a really, really great thing. We've also hired various leadership positions this year. So we've got some individuals in some new roles upcoming. And before I jump into the managerial leadership, man, I was going to do this. Was going to be so awesome if Dwayne came up to talk about practice. His practice on his but he did. So we have with us two of our friends that are leaving. Been with us a long time. A lot of great. So, Kim, would you please come up? I'd like to.
Oh, and here, I'm Renee.
And it sounds like we'll be seeing more of him. So I guess this is not goodbye. So we'll see you next month.
Oh, yay.
I was gonna get you when you came up. You roast us, and then after you roasted us, I was gonna say, "Oh, well, Mama make you feel bad. Here's the point."
Well, you're already in here.
All right. So back to it. Managerial leadership, again, lots of things we could talk about. Battle of the Birds, football at the new Scott County High School. Those kinds of things are super stressful, and I still, I think it was, Dwayne, were you with me when I said, I looked out and traffic wasn't moving anywhere, and I was like, I'm going to lose my job. It was an interesting day, but it ended up working out. And then FBI training regarding schools threats and hoaxes. Again, that doesn't even feel like this school year, but that I recall being in the fall. And again, we've made some pivots, we've made some adjustments for the start of next school year to try and address some of those things, and at least be able to say we tried to do everything we can to put our kids in the best position to make good choices. And then, federal executive orders we're monitoring. I got an email from a principal today asking about a particular area that their concern might be wrapped up in some funding concerns, and that I wasn't even aware of. And then the always fun responding to inclement weather. Some theorize that that's why I was arrested for the Elizabeth's Village fundraiser yesterday, but I don't know if that is true or not. So there's Battle of the Birds. Collaborative leadership. So with collaborative leadership, you could go a bunch of different directions with a lot of different ways that we collaborate and work with a lot of different people. Some of them, for instance, I think about the Derby Estates and our friends there and the efforts we've made to try and resolve that situation. And again, not saying that's perfect, but that has calmed down quite a bit. And again, a lot of these things are ongoing things. Our conversation with the Georgetown Police Department and Scott County Sheriff's Department to make sure that our SRO impact is really hitting the mark where it needs to be. And then this year, my involvement with the Center for Quality People and Organizations has ramped up quite significantly over the past couple of months. So we're eager to see the positive impact we can do there. This was, again, wonderful opportunity at the new field to bring back former Scott County Schools and Scott County High School administrators and provide a little recognition there. Influential leadership. Along these lines, and I don't know, I don't know what to attribute it to. Maybe it's just you've been around for a little bit, and they're like, well, okay. They look around, and you've been there longer than a lot of other people, and I don't know. Maybe they tag you for it, but I'm now more heavily involved in the Kentucky Association of School Superintendents as vice president. I'm a KEDC board member and or executive board member and CKEC treasurer. So, and I talked to some other folks because I was like, "Is that too much to take on?" And they said, "No, certainly not. You can pull it off. The requirements for each one of those are a little bit different, but it does." It does help at times because you get to participate in some other meetings that maybe you hadn't been a part of on the executive board meetings where you get a little bit more information than maybe you previously didn't have. The other area where I think that a lot of time is spent, and I believe that I believe it's valuable, is time with legislators. I've got a lot of that just mentioned on there, past and current, and I still believe that that there are a lot of our facility friends, Dwayne, that owe me and you a little something for the open release that they've got for athletic facility purchases now, because House Bill 678 it came from a summer lunch meeting with the legislator, and then here you are. It's just amazing the impact that those conversations can have. Also, this year I've stepped up into being more of a mentor with superintendents. So I have a superintendent that I'm mentoring in Madison County, and I had a superintendent from another, a very different community. I don't know if they'll accept it, but anyway, they reached out asking if I'd be able to serve for them next year, and I told them, sure, let's see if it'll pass the test for them. Again, as far as the influential piece, I would say that was the part that, I think that's the part, no matter what your role is, I think that's the part that everybody kind of overlooks. I think everybody second guesses themselves and the impact that they can have. But we tell our kids all the time, you can only control yourself, but you can influence others. And I mean, that's reality. So, I just try as much as I can to use our platform to make sure that we're doing that. Next step. So I've already talked a little bit about Senate Bill 181, and even though it's fresh on our minds and it's very recent, I do anticipate it being something that potentially lingers around for this school year. There is talk that the disaster money for the state is gone because of the tornadoes and flooding and all the different things. So I'm hearing that legislators believe they'll be brought into a special session. If they are brought into special session, they expect to address the disaster money. I keep politicking for them to address Senate Bill 181. Maybe just give us an extra year or something like that before it takes effect. I don't even know that I'll be able to walk in here if ROTC's on here again next year. But but anyway, it's on there. I mean, there it is, like just glaring like just get out your red pen and circle that one, but we're working towards it. And then continue to further evaluate and refine the Georgetown Leadership Academy. Really excited about that one. And then, we've got the school-based health clinics that Josh might know more about than anybody in the room at this point, that we've been working really hard to get to the finish line on. Continuing work on Oxford, of course. I do have something that I might find a board meeting where there's a little bit of time, and for my superintendent report, I might discuss some work I'm engaging with for. I've already got my legislation for next year picked out. I'm already working on it. I'm really excited about it, and I think it's got some really cool potential. Continuing work with Leader in Me and Profile of a Learner, of course, and continuing to advocate for additional school funding, because this is a budget year, and I am hearing that things are a little tighter than they were the last time around. So we will see how that all goes. But that's just kind of a year at a glance. I do feel like the way we've got our superintendent report structured, it gives you an opportunity to kind of see everything that's going on. Again, it's not everything, but it does give you some of the higher level things that we're working on, and gives you an overall picture of the work that we're engaging in. So there you go. Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
And back at you, Superintendent's report.
Yeah, sure. So I'll be quick.
Repeat.
Yeah, this was I think we had about 15, 20 days between now and the previous one. And we had graduation and all the fun things that came there. So you can see cultural leadership is humongous. Strategic leadership, again, I mentioned the Senate Bill 181s. I mean, it is a daily thing right now. It's a daily thing that we're having meetings and discussions, conversations, everything. So it warrants being on there. Attended EduCon, which is hosted by CKC. Jeff Shepard was the keynote. He did a phenomenal job. Very, 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 I don't know, just simple things, but also it was just pretty good to just get refreshed with his message there. Again, cultural leadership, a lot going on. First graduation on the grounds of Scott County High School in 40 years. So, and I said since 1995 because the class of 1996, we weren't outdoors. We were indoors. So I guess technically we were on site, but we weren't out in the pretty of outdoors that we got to experience. And thank you. We were just fortunate with the weather for their graduation too, given that we started a little bit late. Thanks to DT and Dwayne and everybody. Renee pulled in. We've been talking about the future, and I think we've got it figured out as far as making sure we don't have a time issue like we did this year. Coach Wood's first scrimmage. Got an invite to that the other day. So attended Coach Wood's first scrimmage against Dunbar, and they had parents there. They had a bunch of the VIP type old guard Scott County High School boys basketball people there in attendance, really excited, and just the air in the room, it just felt really good. Graduate parade was great. Got to attend the Christy Collins meet and greet that we had at the Nutrition House, and then attended the first ever Battle of the Birds Regional Championship. And so congratulations to Scott County High School. They play tomorrow, and I think that takes them to the Final Four, the final if they win tomorrow. So yeah,
10 o'clock
10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Yep. So congratulations to them. Yep. Pretty big, pretty cool thing to see both of our schools go to the final for region. And then again, I mentioned the Center for Quality People and Organizations involvement remaining strong, and then met with Matt Nunn recently about the potential legislation that I talked to you about. And Dwayne and I met with Owen County Schools about our athletic fields, and we also toured some fields at Georgetown College, and then met with Mike Davis and James Hay about kind of a year in review and upcoming plans. And I did want to make sure I didn't forget. I even wrote it on my sheet. Just wanted to thank you all for the grace that you all showed me, and thank my team, because there were things I was not able to do like I wouldn't do in a normal year, because I was trying to soak some sad stuff in. So thank you all. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
All right, thank you so much. Number 34, board comments. Becky, we'll start with you.
Okay, thank you. I'm rarely speechless, but it seems like we've just so recently had a board meeting. Obviously, I was very happy and excited to be at graduation, all three of them. I love graduations personally, but they were all very well done, and just a real upper. So proud of all our students and staff with the graduation ceremonies. And I meant to jump in and say, Mr. Parker, I think you should applaud yourself for your logistics at the Scott County High School graduation, because there was a lot of think on your feet, let's get it done, and it all worked. And I know that was not easy. I was very impressed with the logistics on that. So that's all.
All right, thank you. Wendy?
I too just want to echo the graduations were very beautiful. Being a former Scott County graduate in 1990, we got to walk outside, so it was just beautiful to be a part of seeing that. It was a beautiful celebration, and I felt like as board members being able to be a part of it was wonderful, and very proud to shake a hand of a fellow graduate. And then I was able to attend the chamber luncheon this past Monday. Usually not able to do that, so I really enjoyed that. And your name was spoken multiple times.
Yeah.
So, you're well respected in the community and with our legislators. So just thank you again for being an amazing superintendent.
I was going to say the same thing at the chamber luncheon. Senator Nunn and Representative both very, very. It made me so proud, and everybody listened. That's positive points with our education. So, and they'll remember us. Capital strength. So anyway, I was very proud, and doing my wonderful first graduation was wonderful. Ask around, and I've heard a lot of positive comments. So anyway, thanks to all that were part of it.
Susan?
I said it all?
Okay. Well, I would like to say thank you to those of you who will be leaving us this month. Dwayne, Kim, as you're sitting in our room, thank you for all of your service and job well done. I've sat here for 8 years, and I just want to say a sincere thank you for everything that you've done for us. So I applaud you. Okay. All right. Number 35, approved to enter into executive session pursuant to, this is where Susan usually jumps in, KRS 61.8101K and KRS 156.76 for purposes of preliminary discussion relating to superintendent evaluation.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
completed Superintendent Parker's annual evaluation, and this year Superintendent Parker received an overall evaluation score of accomplished. Superintendent Parker is areas of strength for Superintendent Parker are teacher leadership, cultural leadership, and
Influential.
thank you.
Mhm.
I always forget that one.
That's my
Leadership.
favorite one.
Next year, we look forward to focusing on continued growth and student success, and communication, and building on our diverse staff. Dr. Parker. Superintendent Parker.
Yes. Go on, put it out there.
Chan.
Okay, do I
So
have a
move to
motion?
approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
I'd also like to move to approve the addendum to Mr. Parker's contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.